I guess the place to start with Tim would be the clip where he's describing his politics.
People don't seem to know what a centrist is, and you'll end up with articles accusing me of being a right-wing commentator whose political views are on the left. It's like, yes, have you considered that's what a centrist is? I think for me, the challenge is that most people see everything as either left or right, and while idealistically I'm probably kind of far left, but realistically, like trying to actually accomplish policies that move us forward, I'm probably a moderate left.
Yeah, I mean, it's so Tim Bonto's most recent video on Tim Pool is called Fence Sitter. And he plays a whole bunch of clips where Tim Pool says, yeah, I'm a milquetoast fence sitter. And he just owns it. And it's infuriating because, he's not. He tells the right wing what they want to hear as a centrist, basically, in that. But I do have to say, like, especially seeing him deliver it there, it's smart marketing. Like it's really smart, and it annoys me that like I would love to be like I'm a centrist. I'm not for Hillary or Donald Trump. I'm here to hate Jeff Bezos, and it's like that would actually be like I'm from the center, right? And it's like that branding. Tim Pool, I don't think he. I don't want to phrase this. I don't think he exerts himself a whole lot in terms of the understanding department, but as far as like finding a lane, like I think he's really found one with that, like that, because it is so like, and I don't think a whole lot of people are. I think a lot of like his audience is sort of in on the joke when it comes to that stuff, but like. I gotta say, like, as far as like compared to like Crowder, who like is always gonna have like a limit on his ceiling, because like nobody just wants like a nasty guy like that. I mean, certain like young men do mainly, but to Tim Pool, like for a guy like, I mean, the first bump steer we did on Left Reckoning was for Tim Pool because. And then that's like, a bump steer, you don't want to be led in the wrong direction. And it's like that he can do that. And I think Jordan Peterson's a little bit like this too, because they don't, and because Weinstein obviously too, and Tulsi, I guess this is a theme, but like, I think Tim is actually, he's probably the best at it maybe at this point.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I think it's, so when he says that he's far left in his whatever, in theory, whatever it was he said,
idealism,
and moderate left in practice. I mean, we did a whole segment on this last week. So I mean, I'm not going to I will bury the lead here. I mean, like he voted for Trump, right? I mean, like that doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't seem either moderate or far left.
Because Democrats went so far left with Joe Biden.
Yeah, Biden was too much for him, right? He voted for Trump. That's
The nothing will fundamentally change guy. That was too much for Tim Pool.
Yeah, anyone who's moderately left would run away from Joe Biden.
But you know what's fun is to try to occasionally these guys. I don't know if Tim Pool's done it, but like Madison Cawthorn, when they have to like praise Joe Manchin, Blake Masters also did this. There's like this odd thing because it's like you don't want to just admit like, oh, you're the same thing. Basically, it's like, oh, I'm going to do a crazy thing, and I like. What do you really disagree with Joe Manchin about? Like, I mean, that it's okay to sit with Democrats at lunch. Like that's basically it.
Yeah. No, exactly. And if you watch, kind of the point of the segment last week was like, okay, so, we went back, and since the Thanos trolley problem stuff had come up again in the context of the Matt Binder debate, and Binder basically said, I don't like philosophy, I'm not gonna do that, but we like philosophy, so we took a look at that, and it seems, I don't think Tim Pool really understands what the trolley problem is. Whatever, skip all that, right? They have the basic point is that the original context which it came up was talking about lesser evil voting, and Tim's position at that point was that if you vote for like a centrist Democrat to get a right-wing Republican out of office, you are, because you're supporting evil against evil, you might as well be pushing people onto trolley tracks, right? You might as well be Thanos snapping his fingers and eliminating half the human race. Like it's
that is what we call voter blaming of the most ludicrous kind. Like, I really like that. That is so silly.
But what I mean, it is silly, but also like somehow he went from that to I'm going to vote for Trump because like he'll create jobs or whatever he said, like at like there are too many riots and Trump will restore order, right? I mean that's his position, which again just doesn't I don't want to beat this dead horse too much, but I mean that just doesn't seem very left wing to me. Like that seems downright right wing. And on that same point, we have a clip of Tim Pool. I think this was Rogan's previous set. The curtain behind him is a different color, but anyway, we have Tim Pool on Rogan talking about why he doesn't like socialists.
And assume, I think there's some truth in that. That there's people who have money they didn't earn, and they're leeches on the system. They make money from money. They've never done anything in their lives.
Sure.
They're arrogant.
Sure, there's a lot of people like that.
Right, but when you then take that generalization and apply it to anyone who has money or everyone, and, and you take it to a dark place.
Exactly.
When I first started, entering the public space in terms of news and politics, I was at Occupy Wall Street, and before I had any notoriety, I was being heralded. They called me a good example of what's wrong with the system. Here's Tim Pool, a high school dropout, mixed race guy, and here he is just sleeping in a dirt park using his phone to tell the real stories of the world. After I got featured in Time magazine, what did they say? Tim Pool is white and he was born with a silver spoon, which is not true. It's absolutely not true. But the socialist types, the activists, couldn't accept that I had jumped the class system, I guess. Their view of the world is rigid, that the rich people keep the poor down, there's no chance for upward mobility, and that's not the case.
That's interesting. There is a study by, I believe, a Harvard economist named Raj Chetty. This was from like 5 years ago when I was researching for Vice News. There is, class mobility, income mobility in America. It is significantly less than the mobility in Canada, for instance. So yeah, we have it here. It's fine. Interestingly, some of the few places with mobility equal to Canada was my hometown area of North Dakota, and that's mainly because charter schools don't super exist there, and all public schools are really nice, and there isn't a huge amount outside of between reservation, white and indigenous, a whole lot of income stratification. So that's so yeah, I mean, we all have this who is that, Horatio Alger, or it's like, come on, we've been doing this for 100 years. This stuff was 50 years old when like my grandparents were born.
Yeah, I mean right. So yeah, I mean if you actually really, if upward mobility is your big issue, then but actually, yeah, then having good schools, having free college, right, would all be good for that, right? Because there'd be more people, more people going to college and competing for the better off jobs. But also, like, I guess it just seems like Tim just fundamentally doesn't understand what the point of socialism is, right? Because like his characterization of socialists is that they think that like all rich people, they think that like rich people all don't deserve it, but they don't get that some of them have worked hard and they do deserve it, right? And
Right.
And they think that and they think that there's no upward mobility, but there is some upward mobility, and that all just seems totally beside the point to me, right? I mean, in terms of like why certainly. I mean, really anybody with even a vaguely left-wing critique of economic inequality, never mind anybody who's actually a socialist, like why they have a problem with that stuff, right? I mean, that it's like, so what you must be saying is that like the best and the brightest aren't rising to the top fast enough, because that's like the only objection I can imagine to our economic system. Like, rather than like we're actually objecting to the fact that like most people, right, are going to stay where I mean, even if there's lots of upward mobility, right, most people by definition aren't going to enjoy it, right? I mean, any hierarchical system, there are only so many slots at the top, right? I mean, most people, you know, I mean, like presumably, I mean, if you're, you know, if you're a socialist, you actually care about all of the people who are not upwardly mobile, right? You know, and
Right.
you know, not just because some of them are special people who deserve to be upwardly mobile, but because you think everybody is significant and you want a more egalitarian society that's going to be better off for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky balance. How do you weigh, on the one hand, a lot of people not getting enough to eat and feed their kids, and on the other hand, a lot of people not being entirely fair to rich people, and thinking like overly negative about them? It's politics is tricky.
Yeah, exactly. I don't, you know, anyway, I actually talked about this last time I was on Left Reckoning, but I mean, I don't really, you know, I think meritocracy is bad even as an ideal, right? I mean, I don't think that you deserve to have a good life if you're like particularly smart and talented and everybody else doesn't.
Right.
I mean, like, you know,
When you tie, it's like okay, if it comes down to like trophies, okay, sure. When it comes down to like, can you live a materially sound life? Like, I think no, like that's not meritocracy there.
Are you saying that Steph Curry does not deserve his NBA championship? Like he worked very hard to get there, and you know, he shouldn't be revoked, which is what leftists would want. But yeah, I mean, it's also like it's kind of a really, I feel like, deeply misleading, unserious straw man, because obviously you could find a leftist that is like all rich people are evil inherent. You know what I mean? You could find like a caricature of any viewpoint, and basically he's using that to critique the entire argument. But really, like, you know, you're not really going to find any serious thinkers or writers that like are Marxists at all and say that it's all about your character, like be essentialist like that, rather than like the structure that people are in. So it's really shifty, but it's effective, I guess, like to what you were saying.
Although he can find one leftist that thinks all rich people make money with money. Like that is what I think. That's like sort of the definitional thing of for me is like qualifying someone as a rich person or whatever.
Well,
like,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, making money with money is right. I mean, it's that's, you know, MCM, right? Money, commodity, money, you know, from capital. But yeah, I mean, I just think like, look, do you have to think that every member of the feudal aristocracy was a terrible person to think that feudalism is bad? I mean, like, I don't, it doesn't seem like it, right? I mean, like, you know, that just seems like a separate question, right? Like, I don't, you know, what we think of the individual moral character of participants in a system versus what we think about the system, you know, that, so, okay, that'd be my critique of Tim Pool on socialism, but we do need to move on to James O'Keefe. So just to finish up Pool, you know, we've been talking a lot about Tim's like values and political goals, but just to finish up with Pool, do we have the clip of Tim as a political prognosticator?
We may be looking at a Mondale-Reagan type scenario where Trump landslides 49 states.
Like Tim predicted a 49 state landslide for Trump.
Haha, Tim was wrong. Of hypotheticals. I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. I think they're cheating. I think Trump's going to landslide. I think Trump would have had a landslide no matter what. No matter what. I think the polls are fake. And I think what's happening now is Trump's going to win, and they're going to say, but he didn't really win. I think Donald Trump is looking at a potential landslide. I'm not exaggerating. There's been periods where in the past where I was like, Trump's going to landslide for these reasons. And then there was some negative things that happened, and I'm like, wow, this is starting to look bad for Trump, actually. Now I'm starting to be more convinced that Trump is on track for a landslide. Notably, he's going after New York. Boom, there it is. The Democrats didn't buy any of this ad space. Why? Donald Trump's going to win. Trump is going to win. I'm convinced, absolutely convinced. I think what's going to happen is that Donald Trump is going to win cleanly on election night. And I think they knew Trump was going to win. I think they knew their polling was breaking. I think they knew that Trump voters were lying about who they supported because of peer pressure and pressure from, you know, mainstream media. Biden's not campaigning.
I think Kamala and Biden might be throwaway candidates. They know they're going to get steamrolled in the election. And we may see a 49 state landslide, maybe a 50 state landslide. That'd be amazing.
Well, that would be amazing.
You know what, Ben? This is dishonest editing. After all of those clips, he's like, "But can you imagine if I was really like that?" And then his co-host just cracked up, and it was really.
I mean, what's amazing about that is you can tell why you would like that if you were like a Trump fan, but like,
sure,
wasn't like identified with the Republicans or everything. Like, oh damn, this is fucking catnip. I also think it's like interesting just how well that coheres to like a Jan 6 that's overturned the election count style thing. Like, I wonder how much of Tim's audience is sort of like toned in those waters, or like was led to like believe things like. I mean, there's plenty to be said about what Tim himself said about the election, but I mean, you'd be gassed up and not be expecting Joe Biden to win if you watch that guy.
Yeah, no, this is very true. I mean, whatever. I guess I guess he did say, "Wouldn't that be amazing?" And hypothetically, that would be amazing if that thing that there was never any chance that would happen had happened.
York.
So there you go.
He might win New York, guys. Yeah,
exactly. Which I don't think. I don't think even if we did a poll of like people who were like actual participants in the riot on Jan 6, I don't think any of them think that Trump won New York. So,
You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive post-games on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.